morning or good afternoon on the East Coast. Good morning for those of you still here in the Central Time Zone. I am Roy Evans along with Dr. Kenyatta Cavill from inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We are here on the BCSN Game Time Show live from NOLA, baby. First time here, Doc, at the New Orleans, the Bayou Classic. Let me say it the right way first off. You're a vet. What do I have to look forward to, man?
Oh, you're going to have a lot of fans. They're going to be in the game. You know, you go to some games and people kind of walk around. You'll have a little bit of that, but you'll have a large percentage of this class that will be focused on the game, particularly early and then late if it's close. And this game tends to always find a way to be close. I don't care how the teams have played out during the regular season, whether the team that has done that will win eventually, it doesn't matter. And you tend to get a lot of upsets, big plays in this game. You tend to see all types of plays in this game, things that you hadn't seen all season. So it's a fascinating game with a lot of people that have passionate fan bases on each side. And they know they're on Showcase. They know they're on NBC in terms of what that looks like, and they fight really hard to showcase their institutions.
Well, listen, you talk about a game that in its iteration that we are now, 1974, but the history of this rivalry goes all the way back to 1938-35, and it is amazing that these two historic and monumental programs, blue bloods of HBCU sports, as a lot of people would call them, have had some clashes over the years, and as you stated, you can throw the records out the window. They don't mean absolutely anything when it comes to this game here. But let's talk a little bit about what is at stake for the teams that we get here. This year, we're looking at the Southern Jaguars, of course, had a down season. They definitely want to end on a high note. Beating Grambling is probably the highest note that you can get for Southern Jaguar, and they don't want to go winless in the SWAC.
Yeah, they want to find a way to get off the skid. And they wouldn't want to have it any other way to do it against the rivals, Grambling State. Grambling State is fighting for 8 wins, so they want to keep them from that. They want to spoil a season that they felt was a really solid season in a lot of ways. This will push them down third instead of tied for second if Southern's able to get that win. So they want to do it for the fans. They want to go out, and you have a lot of seniors that have a lot of pride at Southern University. They just played for a SWAC championship last year, so this is a team that came in with a lot of expectations, as we said, but also in terms of that, they're going to look at trying to find a way to get a win.
All right. We're going to hang out here just for a little bit, try to get in. So let's talk a little bit about some of the other things that are going on. We know that the Cricket Celebration Bowl is coming up in 2 weeks, Doc. Next week, we'll be in Jackson, Mississippi to see which member of the Southwestern Athletic Conference will be representing them to be there. Jackson State, Prairie View's coming to call it. But there's a team over in the MEAC that's sitting back chilling. Coach Chinnis Berry, undefeated in conference 2 years in a row. South Carolina State Bulldogs are sitting back waiting. What are you looking forward to?
They found their way back, and for those players that were there last year, you got to imagine on their mind they got unfinished business. Now, they won't necessarily tell a lot of people that outside, but inside, because they want to look at it just in terms of playing it at one game and getting it and not having to carry along. But you could tell what they did in the offseason, that was big. Now, what's different is that they had quite a few transfers and some players that came in that they had to find a way to gel. And obviously they gelled over the second half of the season, if you would, certainly the latter third when they played in conference play. And they had to get it done tough. They went on the road. They were on the road in terms of the last 2 games against teams that were up in the standings. First, North Carolina Central, and then they had to do it against the surprise team, Delaware State. They came in undefeated, and that essentially was a de facto MEAC football championship game. The winner got the spoils, literally clinched the conference at 5-0 and sealed the deal to go to the Cricket Celebration Bowl. In this case, it was South Carolina State. So they're going to have their hands full. And either way, you either have it a rematch, 3 out of the last 5 years specifically, but a rematch between these two coaches, T.C. Taylor and Jackson State. Jackson State will be looking to do it back-to-back, while South Carolina State will be looking at doing it for the first time for their coach, Chinnis Berry. Or you have the fact that you have the new kid on the block, Prairie View, coming in there, but you would have 2 successful Division II coaches facing off. both of the coaches last year, South Carolina State, in his first year, he goes to the Cricket Celebration Bowl. And if it's Prairie View, you have Coach Jackson in his first year going to the Celebration Bowl. So a lot of storylines in terms of however you want to look at it, about how these teams built their programs. Last year it was South Carolina State that refolded, brought a lot of players in from Division II transfers in and able to make it work. And this year, if it's Prairie View, they've pretty much followed the same formula where they changed over the roster and got it with a couple of Division II players coming in, as well as a lot of folks coming out of the transfer portal and keeping those guys in the fold. And he has gotten to work to get all the way to the SWAC championship game. So if he can do it one more time, he'll be playing for a national championship. So it's fascinating when you talk about the storylines for that matchup.
Well, Doc, definitely. And let's talk about a few other things as we look at the overall HBCU sports diaspora. Want to shout out to my Rattlers, the Lady Rattlers of Florida A&M, from the 8th seed in the SWAC volleyball
Bottom to the top.
We're here. And I think that's how that song goes, but I don't know. And as you stated and brought it up, they were playing the Southern Jaguars 7th seed on their way to a victory.
Shout out to Southern for fighting out.
For fighting in and getting there. You got two teams that came up from the bottom of the bracket to battle it out. The Lady Rattlers ended up winning 3-1. And look, Coach Gokhan, or as they call him in Tallahassee, Goat-Con, is doing his thing, and that team is really moving forward.
Yeah, no doubt. It's a dynasty back-to-back. They've won, 4 of 5 since they've been in the conference. And so everybody's going to have to push their game up a little bit to catch up with FAMU. And what's unique, he's done it from the front where they dominated in the regular season, got it done, had the number 1 seed and pushed through there. He's done it from in the middle of the pack where they had an okay season. And then they were able to fight through it and get it done. And then he's literally had one where they were fighting their lives to make sure they were in the tournament a couple of weeks ago. They tied with a lot of teams that falls out in terms of tiebreakers that are 8th seed, and they find a way to do it literally, as we said, from the bottom to the top. So he's done it in multiple ways in terms of preparing for a tournament championship run. So it's fascinating to see. And I think in a lot of ways it's just the beginning. I don't believe they have any desire to relinquish the championship throne that they have. So somebody's going to have to figure out a way to do just that if they want their chance to play in postseason tournament play in the NCAA. Because right now it's owned by the Rattlers.
Most definitely. And we also got to make sure that we shout out the Compton State team. They win the MEAC.
Yeah.
Dominated throughout the season. They were at the top of the conference. 13-1 overall, 20-11 was their season. And listen, Compton State is doing what they do over in the MEAC, so congratulations to those ladies and as they move forward and continue to dominate.
They dethroned Howard that had the magic a little bit a couple of times in the year, but Compton has been right in the mix, and they were very solid in terms of all year long. But previous year, you can see them building towards this, and they've been playing in their championship framework, and they get it done this year for a MEAC championship, and they'll be going to the tournament. They'll be going dancing, as they like to say.
There you go. That's right. And now, Doc, another thing. Let's get back to a little bit of football on the D2 level. As we talked about it, as it's been tagged on your show as a de facto D2 HBCU national championship.
Don't tell Quinn Gray that. He said he already won it. He locked it up. He didn't beat him twice. I said, Coach, just get it done on the field. Now, he's not saying he think he going to lose the game, but he said, y'all cover with all that talking you want to. I said, hey, it's the last 2 standings. It's in the playoffs. It sounds good. But, hey, Benedict feels that they've been chopping down that wood. They've gotten closer in terms of the first and second matchup. Obviously, they know how to score on special teams. If they can get a little something from their offense, the defense is going to keep it close. And if they can get that energy, this is the type of team that you see that they don't quit. Literally, last play was what had them winning their playoff game and put them in position to play in the next round, as we calling it, the de facto HBCU mid-major national championship game.
So, Doc, listen, that's going to be a great game. Of course, as you said, Coach Quinn Gray is like, hey, it's 2 out of 3. We won 2 out of 3. But, Coach, this is the one that counts. This is in the playoffs. And listen,
this is the one you want.
This is the one you got to win. It's the last one, and it's the end of the season. Last one to keep you going. But, listen, both teams have had a great season. Looked at getting a lot of things going. Kudos again to the teams other teams that made the playoffs, Virginia Union, Kentucky State, and the other was
Virginia Union, Johnson C. Smith out of the CIAA, and obviously Kentucky State, Benedict, and for Albany out of the SIAC.
Great football being played in the HBCU divisions all across it, so we're definitely shouting out to those folks to continue doing what they're doing. And as we get ready to listen, the folks are at the gate.
They teasing them, man. They teasing them.
They bouncing at the gate, getting ready to come in, Doc. And listen, we've got some more stuff. Now, we talked about it a little bit on SWAC TV, but let's go ahead and talk about the growth and the expansion that SWAC TV is actually having, because it's an amazing thing, doing some great stuff. Shout out to Dr. Charles McClellan and his team for putting that together and just being able to provide the fan base with everything that they want on a regular basis. How do you see that growing and continuing to move forward?
Growth is only way up. I mean, the numbers prove it themselves in terms of what's going on. So, you got to look at it in terms of what that is, and I see nothing but continued growth, maturations, and look for some surprise things. Dr. McCullen always finds the ways to continue to push things forward and get it done. So,
well, that's going to do it. We want to make sure you turn in the SWAC TV during basketball season. Over 100 games, men and women will be there. Remember, all 12 teams will be in Atlanta for the conference championship. We're getting ready to shut it down. I'm looking back. Listen, folks are at the gate getting ready to push in. That's what we're here to do. Thank you. This is our first time. I want to shout out Kim, John, Deuce is in the building as well. We're going to see you next week in Jackson, Mississippi for the SWAC Championship. Take care.